Come on, we have to.
But we just did a music bit last time.
I know, but it's his birthday. Come on.
Yeah, but it seems like it's repetitive.
Dude, just do it, okay?
Do we have to?
All right, ready?
Fine. Are we doing the newer one?
Yeah, we're doing the better one.
The
The one that the guy rewrote. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jerry. Happy birthday to you. Alright, everybody, welcome back to the Friend Simulator podcast.
Welcome back, everybody.
Yeah, today we got to go a little bit quicker because this is actually the earliest we've ever recorded a podcast. It's not that early because it's only 1:35,
Right.
you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
But we got work at 3, so we wanted to make sure to get this in because it is Sunday, and it is, more importantly, yes, are you going to... Go ahead. I don't know. I lost my train of thought again. Yeah, it's Jerry's birthday today.
Happy birthday,
Jerry.
Happy birthday, Jerry.
Jerry, my older brother, is turning 22. Well, he turned 22 today. I don't know the hour of his birth, so I'm just going to say he's 22, and I'm not redoing this.
Never have, never will.
Yeah, no, we're past that.
Mhm.
So, yes, happy birthday, Jerry.
Happy birthday.
We spent a great weekend down in Richmond with him.
Yeah, man.
Rye was there, too, our younger brother. All of some Jerry's friends were there.
Good crew there.
Spent time at 1312, his place.
Mhm.
I guess I shouldn't say addresses. Well, I didn't say the exact address. They refer to it as 13. Yeah,
It's probably fine.
yeah, it was a great time. It was a lot of fun, and happy birthday. But I do have work at 3, so I want to make sure to finish this little recording.
Yeah, we got to get this done and did.
Yeah, right. Planning ahead. Good stuff.
Yeah.
What is there to talk about other than this past weekend? Well, as they say in The Hobbit, good times make bad stories. So
That's probably...
we'll just leave it at it was a great time. It was a very enjoyable. It was a very enjoyable weekend. Good stuff. A lot of fun.
I don't know if that's the
people.
exact quote, but...
I almost beat Mac.
Who? What?
I just like that to go on the record.
Mac?
Probably one of the best. Well, I didn't almost beat him. I got down to 1v1 in a big smashdown.
Oh, right.
That's not important for the podcast.
Smash Bros. Yeah, it is.
Oh yeah, I guess it is because it's just supposed to be
Stream of consciousness.
stream of consciousness. Anyway,
Just thinking.
something that I wanted to document is something that I thought of on the drive home. Well, I wasn't driving; I was in the back seat.
Right.
I was reading Homegoing.
Oh, man.
Yeah, Homegoing, my current reading since Station 11.
Heavy stuff.
In my English 301 class, and it's a spectacular novel. It's kind of, I'd say, historical fiction,
Yeah.
realistic fiction, floats around in that world.
Yeah.
And it's a spectacular novel that follows these two parallel family lines. They both ultimately start from the same woman. The beginning of the story is in the 1700s,
Right.
on the Gold Coast in Africa, which
It's
is
like Ghana, right?
present day Ghana.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was still called Ghana then, but the native people, the people that are from there, only ever call it the Gold Coast, or they refer to their tribes. So I don't know if it's
Asante,
necessarily
Fonte.
Ghana.
Right.
But it's these two parallel family lines that start with the two daughters of this woman with two different men, Effia and Essie, and basically to make a very long and spectacular, I've said that a couple of times.
Yeah.
Spectacular? Yeah.
Repeating it.
To make a long story short, and I also haven't finished the story,
Right.
each of those generational lines, one of them marries a white man, or is given in marriage, bride price.
The old-fashioned way of doing it.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Right.
To one of the men that works at the Cape Coast Castle, which is one of the depot points.
Yeah, nice.
Places. Points. Good stuff. Yeah. For slavery. For slaves. For selling slaves.
Not good stuff.
And shipping them off back to England. Or not. Actually, I don't know. I don't think they shipped them to...
Well,
for the slave trade. For the English...
They are English
slave
men.
trade. And then the Dutch and the Portuguese are a little bit
Right.
in that story, but it's mainly focused on the English and their sales to America. Effia marries the governor of the castle, where Essie, she's raised in a different family line. Again, they're both born from the same mother, but to two different fathers and in two different tribes, because their mother is taken initially as a slave, and then when she escapes, she sets a fire,
Right.
and that's kind of a big thematic thing that the man who she was escaping from, because she was his slave and she had a child.
Oh yeah, you didn't mention.
With him.
Yeah.
You know,
It's yeah.
yeah.
Not.
Losing my train of thought.
You're saying she set a fire, right?
Yeah, she sets a fire, and the man that previously owned her, he says that he believes that fire will haunt his family line, for generations. Like he'll haunt his children and his children's children, and
Right.
one way or another that seems to come true. Whether or not you tie it back to the fire, it's a spectacular story. But the reason that I wanted to make note of it is there are a couple of different places where it intersects pretty, like, eerily. Pretty, it's on the verge of that, Truman Show moment type feeling where it seems to, all of the media that I'm consuming right now seems to be overlapping thematically in some pretty crazy ways. And I'll list the 5 big things that overlap right now. It's Homegoing, which is what I'm reading right now in English.
Okay.
The book that I read previously in this class, which was Station 11, which crazy moment at this past weekend, one of Jerry's friends at VCU who I'd never met before, she was talking about Station 11, and it apparently had a big impact on her. She was like, yeah, ever since I read this book, Station 11, and my head just snapped up and was like, what did you say?
Yeah.
And we talked about it just for a little bit because, people were in and out of conversations at the party, but just the flow of party conversations like that.
Right.
And there's a little inebriation involved. So,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It was only like 2 seconds, but it was still such a moment, just for me. And, in line with the Truman Show stuff.
Right.
So
Station 11.
Station 11 and Homegoing have some overlapping when it comes to just stories weaving in and out of one another. Certain characters that are very minor to one part of the story end up being the lead characters from their own perspective.
Yeah,
and kind of that
that's
handing off of the torch at different points of where the narrative is flowing. And if you've read either or both of the books, you'll really know what I'm talking about. But it's just there's kind of this,
kind of like Tarantino.
How the reader a lot of times, or the narrator of a book, is omnipotent.
Like they can see into people's minds and everything.
Yeah, it feels especially that omnipotence of a narrator feels especially weighty in these books because there's so much dramatic irony.
Oh, because there's so many characters that never meet.
Yes, and like aren't able to pool their knowledge.
Exactly.
Talk about everything and figure it out.
Yeah,
like with the Black Stone and everything.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the main way that Station 11 and Homegoing overlap. So that's the first 2. You said there were 5? Yes, the next one is Ale Saga.
Gotcha.
Ale Saga is one of the Icelandic sagas, which it seems like a crazy left turn, but the sagas are stories of the Vikings who settled Iceland in the 800s and 900s.
Right, dude. Oh my god.
And it's pretty crazy stuff. It's good stuff. You all right? Oh, do you hear something? Oh, is there something buzzing? Is there like a hopefully that doesn't come through.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
One of the laundry machines?
Yeah. Anyway, it's the story of the Vikings in the 800s and the 900s. That's what the stories are about.
Okay.
But the stories were actually written, like committed to paper, in around the turn of the millennium, in like around the year 1000 or 1100. And
it's like 200-year gap.
It's
all good.
The thing that really overlaps there with Homegoing is that idea of not only family and descendancy, because Ale Saga takes place over 150 years.
Right. Oh my God.
It's the story of Ale, but really that isn't Egil, pronounced Ale, is one of these. He's a Viking. But it starts with the story of his grandfather, and then his father and his father's brother,
like Kveldolf,
and then
Thorolf.
Around chapter 20 or 25, Ale actually appears, and then through the rest of it follows mainly Ale's perspective. And that it's hard to say true story because there's so much fog just in terms of time and antiquity. But and also just narrative elaboration and storytelling, because there's some moments where like runes are carved and kind of Norse mythology kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Witchcraft. Well, they wouldn't call it witchcraft, which is also going to be one of the connecting points into another piece of media. But Ale Saga is very similarly to Homegoing about descendancy and family and things passed down through families. When it comes to Ale, it's the feud between Ale's family and the kings of Norway,
right?
Which is a pretty spectacular storyline to witness play out, because like sons and sons of the kings continue to just have falling outs with Ale's family line.
Yeah,
and the connection point that I want to draw from there. This isn't even the strongest connection, but it's, believe it or not, a connection to WandaVision.
Yeah.
Which is, the
I don't think we've talked about that yet.
yeah. Or no, wait, actually, I think we
Yeah.
have. Exactly. We talked about it a couple of episodes ago, right? Yeah, I think we did. I think we mentioned it in
like the
one of
second.
first two
Yeah.
episodes. But
Okay.
WandaVision, I don't want to. Okay, spoiler warning right now for WandaVision.
Yes.
If I remember,
Beep,
I'll
beep.
put a timestamp that you can skip to get past these spoilers. But
Yeah, we'll find it.
warning right now. Spoiler.
Beep beep.
Spoiler warning. So, for those of us who have seen WandaVision, first of all, that was so crazy. That was so good. New Age of Marvel. Yeah. Oh, man. It's,
In my opinion, it's a new.
I thought I was going to be done with Marvel around the end of Endgame.
Mhm.
End of Endgame. With the ending of the Infinity Saga. But
Yeah.
this is really making it hard to leave because they've
Mhm.
written just a great story.
Yeah.
They've made Vision and Wanda.
Nobody's favorite characters.
Yeah, two of the most B-plot side characters in the arc of the Avengers movies.
Just kind of cool looking.
Some of the greatest characters now.
Right.
And I think they really saw. I don't know if they were planning this the entire time.
Can't be sure, but
Yeah, it's hard to say, but
Kevin Feige's pretty good at that.
it seems like they really laid some great groundwork, or at least they
Mhm.
saw the groundwork that they had laid,
Yeah.
and then brought it all together into a crazy story. I know I haven't even spoiled anything yet, but just into this great
Mhm.
9-episode arc it's about grief, and it's about family, and it's about coming to terms with reality.
Yeah.
But it's also a crazy science fiction story, and I think
Crazy.
one of the moments that's
Crazy
really sitting
spectacular.
with me right now is
Mhm.
the ship of Theseus moment between the visions.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which anyone who's seen it, I hope everybody loved it as much as I did. Them just, orbiting one another in the center of a library, in the atrium of a library.
Mm-hmm. Just
And
breaking
just
down,
discussing
talking
this,
philosophy.
I think, a Greek,
Yeah.
like, philosophical, either thought experiment or parable or whatever you call it. It's basically the ship of Theseus, for those who don't know but are okay with listening to WandaVision spoilers,
Right.
is similar to the grandfather's axe. It says, if Theseus builds a ship and, he sails it, and over time he's slowly repairing it and replacing wood and planks, by the end, when he's replaced every old piece of wood, is it still the ship of Theseus? And then the visions kind of discuss it, and, they talk about there's a second condition that I didn't quite understand. The difference between the first and the second is, like,
Within the parable.
I think it was the difference between replacing the planks of wood one at a time versus like keeping the wood but like
Mhm.
cutting out the rot and like revarnishing it to a degree, like repairing individual planks, I think might have been the difference, but it might have been something else. But it was,
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure about that either, but
oh, what's up? Oh, is something else buzzing? Do you hear that? No, I don't hear anything.
yeah, that was the.
Did something like buzz? Yeah, it was just the dryer. But
Okay.
anyway,
Yeah.
go on. They were discussing, when you've replaced all those planks and all those pieces, is it still the ship of Theseus? And
Yeah.
in the reason that's important in the story of WandaVision, for again those who are okay with these spoilers, is that Vision. There are two visions talking to one another in this scene. One is the vision that was created by Wanda through her grief, because she basically, it was at the end of Endgame. Vision died because he had the Mind Stone ripped out of his forehead.
Yeah, by Thanos.
And we've now learned that
Brutal.
since then, Vision had actually bought them a house where they were going to live.
Oh,
but
that was
Vision's
so
obviously
sad.
dead, and she left him a note,
So sad.
or he left her a note, like, for our new life or something. And she was just so overcome by grief that she created this huge. She's got magical powers, but
Typical Marvel.
we actually have just learned exactly why, because we used to think
Yeah.
it was just because she was experimented on by Hydra, who were, the Nazi science division. They had
Mhm.
access to an Infinity Stone, which is later specifically the Mind Stone that was what made Vision who he was. But she thought her powers were from there, but it turns out it's actually because she's the Scarlet Witch.
That's from
but-
like the comics and stuff.
Yeah.
Whole of the world.
Neither here nor there, a spectacular story, but the visions,
Another spectacular.
the vision that was created from Wanda, because she had that breakdown, and then through the power of the Mind Stone and being the Scarlet Witch, she was able to like kind of birth a new Vision from her mind.
Right. That
But
was a
he couldn't
crazy
really
scene.
remember anything before
Mhm.
this, because she in her grief, not only does she recreate Vision, but she creates this alternate reality kind of around the town that she's in, called Westview, and she turns it into like this sitcom
Yeah.
world,
Oh man.
where and the awesome thing is every episode within the first 7 episodes of WandaVision is based around a different sitcom. Like, it starts all the way back with I Love Lucy,
I don't think it's. Yeah.
the Dick Van Dyke Show,
Mm-hmm.
and then I think they do I Love Lucy or a different one.
I don't think it's I Love Lucy. That's Bewitched, right?
There's just that laundry is just so loud.
It's fine. I didn't.
I'm just gonna have to deal with it.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's I Love Lucy.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Yes.
oh no, it's not.
No.
Dick
Uh,
Van Dyke Show.
yeah.
Bewitched.
Yes.
Full House. Do you remember the other ones? Well, it was the Brady Bunch before Full House, and then it was Malcolm in the Middle.
Yeah.
And then it was Modern.
Yeah, and then the newest one,
Modern Family.
Yeah.
So, and then after that, that one based on what was it?
The Modern.
Yeah, Modern Family. After that, it's basically just the story because the reality really starts to break down at that point.
Yeah, because
Excuse me, because within each episode, there's those moments of
Sword is coming through
of kind of the world,
the real world.
revealing itself that it's a projection. But anyway,
Mm-hmm.
Wanda created that false Vision because Vision's actual body had the Mind Stone ripped out of it in the end of Endgame. No, in the end of Infinity War.
Right.
And Sword, who,
God.
long story short, is
What
just
was
like a
that?
government agency that's all about sentient weapons. That's what the SW is.
Yeah.
The group Sword, and I know Sword and Shield, it's a whole thing.
Yeah, Marvel world, not important.
Had Vision's body, and they were
Mhm.
sort of trying to bring him back online, and actually succeeded. But so they created this white Vision because when Vision died the first time, all of his color drained away, and then
Right.
they gave him like a new chip in the place of where the Mind Stone was ripped out,
Mm-hmm.
and his directive was to kill Wanda and destroy the Vision that she created. So that white Vision and the Vision that Wanda created that had memories because he was actually his own living thing because Wanda created him from the part of the Mind Stone that lives in her. I know there's a lot of information, but
Yeah, dense crash course.
basically
Mm-hmm.
Vision
Right.
and Vision
Yeah.
meet in that atrium of the Westview Library. So they're like orbiting one another, and the white Vision's there to kill that Vision. And he's like, my mission is to destroy the Vision. And then Vision said, well, are you familiar with the ship of Theseus? And then they have that discussion about which one of them is the real Vision. And then the white Vision's like, neither of us are, and both of us are. Because like one is made up of the memories, the other is made up of the physical body. Both of them have parts, but neither are the whole.
Mm-hmm.
It's a spectacular moment in a
Spectacular.
superhero story, and that's one of the things that I really loved about it. And then the other
Yeah.
focal point, which I'll just try to compress,
Mm-hmm.
is Wanda in the episode, because every episode of WandaVision is titled like with kind of a pun or a joke reference to TV,
Right.
and it's called one episode is called Previously On, and it's basically a clip show, air quotes there,
Yeah.
about Wanda's life leading up to this point, which is just full of loss and grief because she grew up in Sokovia, which is a war-torn Eastern European country,
Mm-hmm.
and her parents are killed by
Yeah.
a missile that was fired during one of those civil wars and one of those civil conflicts. And the reason that she's initially introduced to the Avengers movies as a villain is, among other things, she has a hatred for generally just like America partially, and
Typical,
also
yeah.
Tony Stark specifically because it was a Stark missile that hit her house and killed her parents and almost killed her and her brother.
Mm-hmm.
And then it goes up through other memories like her experimentation in Hydra, and then the loss of her brother, and then going to the Avengers compound where she met Vision. So,
Right.
like, her parents died.
That was a
She
great
lost
scene.
her entire home country.
Mhm.
Her brother died. Then she found the Avengers, but then she was kicked out of the Avengers in Infinity War. No, sorry, Civil War.
Yeah.
She lost that home again. The world turned against her again. And then, all she had was Vision, and then Vision died in Endgame. Sorry, Infinity War.
Yep. Keep it.
And
Keep the timeline straight.
anyway, the reason I'm talking about all of this
Right. Let's
is
wind it back.
Wanda's life story,
Mhm.
the way that when she's recounting the grief and the loss of life there, and kind of the loss of her culture as well, is part of it. It's not a huge part of it, but it's referenced a couple of times. The fact that she's Sokovian, but her accent comes in and out.
Mm-hmm.
And for in the Halloween Spooktacular, she dresses as a Sokovian
More air quotes there.
fortune teller.
Right.
It's that family line thing through Wanda that I think of, homegoing and that connection, or the loss of family and that loss and that grief. And then with the ship of Theseus thing with Vision is just a spectacular moment of
was it spectacular?
sprinkling philosophy into a mainstream superhero story.
My God.
And
It
that
was
just
great, though.
spectacular. So
Dude,
Ael's Saga,
again,
Homegoing,
The spectacular.
WandaVision, and then
Yeah.
Station 11 as well, which I know I only talked about a little bit, but I'm talking about all of this because I've created a file.
Oh, great. Beautiful. A file.
Yes, wonderful, a file.
Yeah.
A Google drawing
spectacular.
where I'm weaving together just when I have an idea of how one piece of media connects to other things.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically a big grid on Google Drawings, and I just make a text box. I write the title of that thing, when I watched or read or heard it,
Right.
and then just connecting it to a couple of other key things, like whatever the 2 or 3 strongest connections I make are, because I don't want a really messy web,
Yeah, because then the lines overlap.
Yeah, because then you just can't follow any of the lines.
And you don't know.
But just 2 or 3 of the strongest connections,
Mhm.
and I just want to keep expanding it out to just start making connections, because at the very least, it's just a way to remember the things that have an impact on me,
Right, just to keep track of what you've watched.
Yeah, and then at most, if I ever want to write an essay, comparing texts, I have all of these pre-written connections and web lines.
A template to go off of.
Yeah.
So you don't really have to start from zero on that.
So that's the
Is there another thing you wanted to?
oh, there was something else I was going to talk about it.
Did you get to?
Well,
the
I
fifth?
learned a lot of Google Drawings formatting, just trying to figure that out because
Well, that's
I
good.
made a really big field and then it messed with how small I could make the text boxes because
Mhm.
normal text boxes in Google Drawings have certain limits on them, which are really annoying. But when you take them all off, it's a better tool than some of you might think Google is. Just you got to really learn, like anything, you just got to really learn all the fine tuning forks, tuning bits, tuning knobs.
Yeah.
And from there you can really you can make the whatever you're making exactly how you want it to be. I gotta remember to get that timestamp for the WandaVision stuff.
Right. And also just
I'm sure, yeah.
a lot of tangents.
So I'm calling it well, not that it really needs a name, but I just the phrase that I thought of was just the web of infinite relevance.
Well, that's immediately pretentious.
Yeah, I know.
Yes, that's what you came.
But I
up with?
liked it. I liked the phrase, and I'm gonna keep it that way. So
It's a spectacular name.
yeah, it's just a web of things that connect and create an overarching narrative, and I really enjoy it. I really enjoyed making it, and I will continue to enjoy expanding it.
And that'll help writing the reviews.
Yeah,
Like the reflections on books and movies.
yeah, it'll go right in parallel with writing those.
The reflections.
Because I still have some reviews of older stuff, and it's obviously already would be almost impossible to write something for every movie I've ever watched. But yeah, this will definitely help, and maybe I can chunk it this way, like here's one thing and two other things that don't seem related that are.
Yeah, like a new group.
Because that's something else. This will be the last thing that I talk about. Because how are we doing on time?
We're at about 20, 30.
Yeah, and then we have to make your pass. So,
Well, if we're almost done, we should speed it up.
yeah, I know. I just need to get to it.
Right.
I just lost my train of thought. The way
Well,
things connect to one another. Oh,
Find it.
something that one of the great things that's been a takeaway from my English 305 class is that
Mhm.
everything that you write, when you write something, whether it's an essay or well, essays are the easiest thing to point to.
Right. Most people write
When you're writing an essay
papers.
that someone's going to read, and it was especially focused on in my English class because we're learning to write well. You need to write something that's worth reading, and the biggest way to do that, and the biggest thing that you need to focus on is what in what you're writing makes it necessary to be said, like what makes it important to hear. And I know a lot of people just think, and Jordan Peterson talks about this a lot. And again, I can't go on too long of a tangent about him because he's a genius.
That
But
could be its own series.
writing is a way of thinking,
Mhm.
and when you're thinking, you need to, if you're thinking productively, you need to come to some sort of new conclusion. And so when you're writing something for other people to read, you need to create something new out of it. Whether you're comparing texts or analyzing one or just talking about anything, you need to make something new. And one way that I've found you can do that
The microphone.
is that web that I'm creating is,
It's fine.
how does one thing relate to something seemingly unrelated in a very meaningful way? And yeah, I'll probably extrapolate that. I will expand on that idea more through time, just because I'm writing a lot more on average now
Right.
as an English major. And I think the thing that continues to pique my interest is how things connect and how so much really seems connected,
Right.
and more so than people would think. And all you have to do is pay attention a little bit, like I said.
Like Jerry and the Boy Scouts.
Yeah, exactly. In the last episode, if the more you pay attention to things, the more these kind of underlying connections will really start to call out to you. And they're not hard to find. You don't need to stretch to see them.
Right.
You just need to be an active participant,
Just be aware.
really, in life, and specifically just when you're reading a story or you're watching a movie. So much, if it's a good story, or even if it's a bad one, so much has been packed into that if you just pay a little attention and write 5 bullet points of what struck you about it, if you do that for every movie you watch, you'll walk away with just a lot more to think about. And then if we just, to go on that classic Luddite tangent, if we just don't spend so much time on our phones, just doing like playing a game or whatever, just sit and think a little bit.
Yeah.
One great way to spend free time other than on your phone is just sit and think about the last thing you read or watched and see how much of it you can recall. And if you can recall only a little bit of it, then that'll probably tell you what struck you the most about it. And then if you can recall a lot of it, then the whole thing was probably pretty impactful. And then I think it's really valuable from there on either to write about it or to talk to somebody about it, because not everybody likes to sit down and write,
Yeah,
but
not
almost
everyone has-
everybody can talk about things.
Yeah.
And I think it's worth talking about that, because then you'll ingrain again what was impactful to you, and you'll be able to carry it with you. It'll be something that you can pull from in the future. And that's just footnote reference on the drive home. From Jerry's
Yeah.
birthday.
Mm-hmm.
It was my mom was the one driving us because we were all down in Richmond for his birthday. She was actually there for a different reason, and then she was able to get woven into the story.
Right, for the brunch thing.
But she mentioned that she wants to memorize some poetry, and that I
Mm-hmm.
was the impetus for that to a certain degree, and so is Dean, who I've referenced before, because Dean,
Yeah.
he's memorized some poetry actually,
Right.
but like cool poetry, like Ozymandias, which
Ooh, that's a good one.
is a really good poem. I don't remember the entire thing, but I believe it starts with "I met a traveler in an antique land,"
And the
or I met a traveler
I think
in an
that's right.
antique land who said,
two
know,
legs
"In the desert stands 2 feet," something like that.
something. Yeah.
It's a great poem.
Yeah.
It's about, and it actually connects to this as well. It's about time and
There's another connection. Yeah.
which connects mainly to Station 11, which again I know we didn't talk about, but time and the way that things aren't permanent in the same way that life is permanent.
Right.
But a family line, as long as somebody's had children, will always be permanent. And depending on whether or not you really have a part in raising your children, all of the
Like ancestors.
memories of your generations are kind of maintained across them. We've really kind of gone on a leg here. Yeah, I know. We've gone on a lot of tangents here, but I think, what are we at?
Don't know where we ended up.
Yeah, 25 should be a good place to stop. Well,
Mhm.
25 is where I'm at anyway.
Yeah. Same
But,
here. I mean, it's obviously gonna be the same time.
yeah,
Yeah.
things are worth memorizing. Pay attention when you watch stuff. Maybe you're able to pay attention to this. Maybe this was interesting enough.
Hopefully.
Um,
It probably was. I liked it.
yeah, I think that just about ties us off. It's 2:00, so I'm not sure if I'll even be able to make this second pass.
It's 2:40 for me. You're good. You made
Well,
it.
obviously,
Yeah, I'm here now.
right.
So proof's in the pudding, I guess.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Packed a lot into these 25, 30 minutes. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for listening.
Yeah. All right. Thumbs up. Good. All right. We gotta go.